April 4th, 1968, Memphis, Tennessee. 6:01 p.m. A 39-year-old man is standing on the second-floor balcony of the Lorraine Motel, room 306. He is wearing a black suit. He has just come outside after getting dressed for dinner. He is planning to go to a soul food restaurant tonight with his closest friends and advisors. He is in a good mood, laughing, joking. One of his aides, a young man named Jesse Jackson, is standing in the parking lot. He calls up to the man on the balcony, reminding him to bring a coat tonight. It will be cold. The man on the balcony smiles. He says he will. He straightens up. And then a single rifle shot cracks across the Memphis sky. The bullet enters his right cheek. It travels through his jaw. He is thrown backward by the impact. He lands on the balcony floor. His aides rush to him. Jesse Jackson stands below, frozen. The man on the balcony is lying on his back, his eyes open, his body still. His tie has been blown off by the force. Someone covers him with a blanket. Someone calls an ambulance. And in the rooms around the Lorraine Motel, a silence falls. And then the silence breaks. And what breaks, it is not crying. It is not prayer. It is fire. Because the news that Martin Luther King Jr. has been shot travels across America in minutes. In 125 cities, buildings begin to burn. Michael King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. His father changed both their names to Martin Luther. He grew up in a world of absolute, legally enforced racial segregation. He could not drink from the same water fountains as white people. He could not eat at the same restaurants. He could not attend the same schools. This was the Jim Crow laws of the South. He understood what it does to a person to be told every single day by every institution that they are less than human. He decided to fight it, not with violence, with words, with marchers, with the most disciplined form of nonviolent resistance. The people who ran that system, the politicians, the police chiefs, the FBI directors, they watched him. And they were terrified. It began in Montgomery, Alabama, in December 1955. A 42-year-old black seamstress named Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat. In response, the black community of Montgomery organized a boycott. They walked to work. They stayed off the buses for 381 days. The young minister who emerged as the face of the boycott, Martin Luther King Jr., became the most prominent black leader in America. J. Edgar Hoover, the all-powerful director of the FBI, saw not a civil rights leader. He saw a threat, a communist, an agitator. Hoover authorized wiretaps on King's phones. He assigned agents to follow him, monitor his activities, and look for material to destroy him. In August 1963, King stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and delivered a speech to 250,000 people that changed history. He spoke from the deepest part of himself about a dream of an America where children would be judged by the content of their character. In the FBI building, Hoover read the transcript. He wrote in the margin that King was the most dangerous Negro in America. King looked at what the movement had accomplished and recognized something. Legal equality was not the same as actual equality. He began to speak about economic inequality, about poverty, not just black poverty but all poverty. He spoke about the Vietnam War. These positions were far more threatening to the power structure. The FBI watched, and something was building that would end in Memphis, Tennessee. March 1968, 1 month before the assassination. Martin Luther King had not planned to come to Memphis. Memphis was not on his schedule. Memphis came to him in the form of 1,300 black sanitation workers who had gone on strike on February 12, 1968. 2 workers, Edgar Cole and Robert Walker, had been crushed to death inside a malfunctioning garbage compactor. The city paid their families almost nothing. The workers carried signs that said 3 powerful words: "I am a man," a demand to be recognized as human. Martin Luther King came to Memphis because those 3 words were exactly what his life was about. He led a march that tragically turned violent. He left Memphis exhausted, but decided to go back one more time to prove nonviolence was possible. That decision was the one that killed him. April 3, 1968, Mason Temple. King was tired and under enormous pressure from FBI surveillance and death threats. He almost didn't speak that night. He gave his last speech. He spoke of death threats and seeing the promised land, saying, "I may not get there with you." He sat down and wept openly. The building was shaking with sound. 16 hours later, he was dead. James Earl Ray was a career criminal who escaped prison in a bread truck. A fugitive with no money or history of political violence. Yet, as a fugitive, he traveled to Canada, Mexico, and Europe. He had plastic surgery and took expensive classes. Where did the money come from? He rented a room directly across from the Lorraine Motel with a clear line of sight to King's balcony. How did he know King's location? April 4th, 6:01 p.m. King stepped onto the balcony of room 306. Ray positioned himself in a bathroom across the street with a rifle. A single shot was fired. The force threw him backward. His aides ran up the stairs. Ralph Abernathy reached him first. At 7:05 p.m., Martin Luther King Jr. was pronounced dead. He was 39. He had spent half his life leading a movement while under FBI harassment. James Earl Ray fled to Europe but was captured 65 days later. He pleaded guilty to avoid the electric chair, but 3 days later he recanted. Ray claimed he was set up by a mysterious figure named Raoul. The government said Raoul didn't exist, but Ray's lawyers found evidence suggesting otherwise. In 1964, the FBI sent King an anonymous suicide letter and a tape, threatening to expose his private life if he didn't take his own life. Edgar Hoover, who authorized that letter, remained FBI director until his death. He was never held accountable for the harassment of King. In 1999, a civil trial in Memphis changed everything. The King family sued Lloyd Jowers, who confessed to being part of a conspiracy. Jowers claimed Ray was a decoy and that the real shooter was elsewhere. He mentioned a mob-connected produce dealer and $100,000. The trial revealed that military intelligence personnel were in Memphis conducting surveillance on King the day he died. Why were they there? The jury delivered a unanimous verdict. They found that the assassination was the result of a conspiracy involving governmental agencies. Coretta Scott King said the verdict confirmed what they always believed. They didn't want money. They wanted the truth in the legal record. Dexter King visited Ray in prison before he died. He looked the convicted killer in the eye and said, "I believe you did not do this." Internal FBI memos from after the assassination described King's death as the removal of a problem. They were celebrating, not mourning. Before the bullet, there was a man. A father who missed his children and told his wife he loved her. He was living fully until the very last second. It has been 56 years of silence. Open the documents. Tell the truth. Share this video to help ensure this story reaches one more person.